Jagradiv, Jam Masters. The bigger your frame of reference, the easier your life is. If you're locked into a prison cell, and it's, 6 by 6, every little thing is going to bother you. Anything that's happening, you expect it to be a certain way. The inmates I used to visit would tell me if the comb wasn't where they left it exactly, they'd notice that. It's like your frame of reference is very small. And so everything that happens in that little frame of reference makes a big deal to you. Your ego attaches itself to it. Your preferences are based on that. What else are they going to be based on? On the other hand, and I always encourage you to do this, hope you don't just listen, I hope you do it. If your frame of reference is that you're sitting on a little planet spinning through outer space for a few years, that's a totally different ballgame. What does it mean, your frame of reference? You have a mind that is capable of abstract thought. It is capable of knowing that you are sitting on a planet spinning in the middle of nowheres. And that what happened today is you did a 360. And what happened this year, you did a big 360 around a star. You're able to think like that with your mind. That's a great gift that you have. Other animals don't have that gift, right? Humans really are very, very special. And the human mind is phenomenal because it has the ability to do abstract thought. Nothing is stopping you from doing that. It's your mind. You have the ability to expand your frame of reference at all times. At all times, you're capable of knowing that you are sitting on this planet spinning through space. You can do other things while you're here, but you set your frame of reference at that level. If you were to do so, you would not have any problems. It's that simple. It's just like the inmate that is locked down to the 6 by 6. Everything's a problem within there. If you expand your frame of reference, all of a sudden things don't seem like anything. They're just events that are happening on the planet Earth, and you're experiencing them. That's a beautiful state. I'm experiencing what's happening. Where everywhere's? Things are happening everywhere on the planet, aren't they? Don't worry, you're not experiencing all those. Nobody's asking you to be able to handle everything. You're just basically asked to handle the tiny little part that's in front of you. There's a part in front of everybody. There's a part everywhere. There's just, I don't know what to tell you. Anywhere you look, there's a part. Can you handle it? That's what's being asked of you, and that is the essence of spirituality. Can you handle the fact that there is part of the unfolding of the universe that is unfolding in front of you? Don't worry, it's not a really very big part. In fact, it's so small, it's like nothing. It belongs to nothing. Has no effect, has no meaning. It's just there's something everywhere. I don't know why my mind does this, but it does it for me all the time. Just realizes the moment I'm looking at is one out of 700 billion zillion trillion moments. There's different ones all over Mars. There's different ones all over the planet, isn't there? There's moments everywhere. You're just looking at one of them. And what spirituality asks you, how about what reality asks you, is can you handle the one you're looking at? Period. And your answer is no. I can't. Why? Why? Don't worry, it's going to go away in a moment. Right? The moments do they keep changing? Somebody's talking to you, then they're not. You're seeing something, you're not seeing it. It just comes and goes. It's a motion picture. Can you handle the fact that there is something in front of you? And if your answer is no, you have to understand why. Why can't I handle that? Because that is reality. And so first, you start to train your mind to get outside the frame of reference that you have made for yourself. What is the frame of reference? It's not that much bigger than the inmate. Your frame of reference is me. That's what it is. It's me. What do I want? What do I not want? What do I like? What do I not like? What am I worrying about? Who likes me? Who doesn't like me? Who's judging me? Do I look as good as I did before? Oh my God, I'm getting old. It's about me, isn't it? You've locked yourself in the frame of reference of me. That's not that much bigger than a 6 by 6 Alachua in relationship to reality, which is everything. And you have the right to do that. I think you have an obligation. The fact that you have this, isn't it terrible to see someone who has this tremendous ability? They're a prodigy of something, a prodigy of a musical instrument. They're phenomenal. They don't do it. They don't use it. I don't even bother. I don't want to touch it. What a waste. You have the human mind. It is a gift. It is capable of doing what I just said. It's capable of abstracting to include everything. not just your stupid little 3x6 part of it. And so you have an obligation to do that. You're given a great gift, and you're just ignoring it. You're just letting your personal self draw your whole consciousness down to this little thing of my thoughts, my emotions, my body, and my car, and my just I, me, mine. The Beatles song, I, me, mine, all the time. You wake up and realize all these spiritual techniques, all these spiritual teachings, this is the truth. It's not something you have to believe in. It is just one tiny moment that's unfolding in front of you. It's been going on your whole life. A moment's unfolding in front of you. Can you handle it? And the answer is no. Well, you need to come to recognition with that. You need to come and say, wow, what's wrong with me? It's just a moment. It only lasts a moment. Everything keeps changing. The Buddhists say everything is temporal. Well, they're right. It just keeps changing. Why can't I handle it? There's two lives you can live. One is I can't handle it because it wasn't supposed to happen. I don't like it, and I'm going to fight like hell to make sure it never happens again, and that everything's always the way I want, so I don't have to deal with all this. Have fun, because you won't. Because it keeps changing. What are you going to do? The other is to say, what's wrong with me? Why can't I handle it? Why can't I handle a moment that's unfolding in front of me? Period. And then you're ready to grow spiritually. And that's the question you ask, which is, what am I doing that's making it so I can't enjoy my life on the planet Earth? Not your life with this person or with that person or with this job or with this exact task that you have to know. No, it's so little, I need a microscope to look at it. Why can't I stand on the planet Earth, spin through space for a few years and have fun? Because that's what you're doing. You're standing on a planet, spinning through space for, 80, 90, 70 years, who knows? It's not much. How long does it take to count to 70 or 80? Go in the corner, right? I know, I can figure it out. It'll take a minute and a half if you do it 1 second at a time to get to 90. I told you, there's 300 billion stars in your galaxy. Count to 300 billion. I calculated it once. If you did it 1 second at a time, how long do you think it would take you? Go in the corner, behave yourself, count to 300 billion. 95 lifetimes of 100 years each. And that's if you could say 247,413,016,072 in 1 second. And you can't. So you're going to be on a long time. That's just one galaxy. I'm sitting on a planet spinning through empty space around one star, of which there's 300 billion in my galaxy, and there's 2 trillion galaxies. Why can't you use your mind for that? What happens if you do? You become liberated. And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. That will set you free, because then you're going to walk around and say, oh, what a nice planet. I'm walking around the planet. What happened today? I walked around the planet. What did you see? I saw what was in front of me. What didn't you see? Everything else. I didn't see anything of all the rest, but boy, there was a lot more going on, wasn't there? A lot more. It's just, I can handle it. It's enjoyable. It's fun. Nothing can go wrong. Nothing can go wrong. Do you understand? If the entire Earth blew up and disappeared, the rest of the universe would adjust, a few of the planets would adjust a few degrees, and that would be the end of it. Nobody would know anything about it. Then what are you doing? What kind of a way is this to live your life on a planet through space? Being neurotic and worrying about everything and getting all upset and oh my God, why would you do such a thing? You have to ask yourself that. You have to dare to ask yourself that, because this is spirituality. If you want to talk about God, everything is God. All the galaxies, not just the 300 billion, all the 2 trillion galaxies. Is that enough for you? Is that big enough for you? Can you handle the fact that it really exists and you're just on this planet? So your spiritual path becomes expanding your frame of reference. In the end, enlightenment means the frame of reference has expanded. My Father and I are one. It's included everything in the whole universe. When Yogananda had his first experience, in autobiography he writes, my experience in cosmic consciousness. And he says he received the touch from his guru, and he lost all consciousness of himself. Nothing was ever associated with his body, with the mind, with thoughts, and his consciousness expanded to the edge of the universe. That the galaxies were inside of his body, and they were expanding at the speed of, whoa, that's called enlightenment. So don't say you're enlightened. I don't want to hear it come out of your mouth. Right? You can have an enlightening experience, but masters are enlightened. And everything, that's it. The whole being was him. And that's what Christ meant by my Father and I are one. That's what Buddha went into nirvana. And so on. That's so beautiful. I have a friend who's very, very strong into Buddhism. He said to me once, do you know that Buddha, in his deepest teaching, Buddha said there is no self? Right? Well, we think about self, Buddha, right? Of course he said there is no self. Because your self, who you think of as yourself, your consciousness, is still individualized. When it falls back into the ocean, Meher Baba said, when the drop of my consciousness fell into the ocean of consciousness, find it. Find the drop again after a drop of water after it falls in the ocean. Right? It merges. It becomes one. So there is no personal self. There is no individual self. There is no Atman. It has merged into Paramatman. So there's oneness. So I love that the Buddha said that. But people don't understand that because we talk about self-realization and self this and self that. That's because we're not even close to that. We're lost into our minds and our bodies and our world. The consciousness is pulled down to this individual little thing. If you get back to witness consciousness, which nowadays that's a big high state, witness consciousness. No, it's not. Witness consciousness means your consciousness has ceased to be completely identified with what it's looking at. Your thoughts, your emotions, your body out there, you center deep enough inside, mazel tov. Now let go. What do you mean? Let go of the sense of individuality of even consciousness. And it falls back. It starts pulling you back into the source of self. And ultimately there's no self. There's just oneness. There's no duality. I don't usually talk to you like that. So it's perfectly reasonable that in his deepest teaching, Buddha would teach there is no self. Because he doesn't want people running around trying to achieve their self. Who is trying to achieve what? So basically you wake up and you understand your frame of reference is too small. It's way too small. Ultimately, there is only one consciousness. Consciousness. Everywhere is the same, equal, one. The source of the whole universe is consciousness. Period. The beginning, the end, and beyond. So that consciousness is conscious everywhere. It looks down at your thoughts, your emotions, your body, and out through your eyes at your possessions and your friends. And it gets pulled down to where it focuses on this tiny little world of yours. If you want to grow spiritually, and in fact, if you want to not suffer, you have to realize that's not who you are. You are the consciousness looking through your eyes. You're a consciousness, not even the consciousness. You're a consciousness looking through your eyes and being aware of what you're looking at. I wish that words could take you there. When you look out through your eyes right now, do you see the frame of reference that it sees? You see things? You are conscious of the things. A camera can look and have a wide-eye, fish-eyed lens. It doesn't know it's seeing anything. It's not conscious. It's not your eyes that are doing this. It's consciousness that is looking out and experiencing its own creation. It's experiencing its world. But we don't do that. If you try to do that and just that's called just seeing. The Buddhists call that just seeing, or be here now. Just all that's happening is what you see. That is all that's happening for you, all right? But what happens if you try to do that? You're welcome to try to do that. You don't have to do it right now. I don't teach those kind of techniques, but you're welcome anytime you want to just say, well, of course I see what's in front of me, all right? Watch how long that lasts, because it won't last for 2 seconds before your mind says something about it. And the next thing you know, you're not seeing what's in front of you. Your consciousness has been drawn down to your thoughts and your emotions, whether you like it or don't like it. What is this all about? Now I see it. I know what he's talking about. Of course I see it. That's not the scenario. That's not what's happening. So basically, you can't maintain that state of awareness that you're just seeing what's in front of you. You're just experiencing what's in front of you. Consciousness has experienced this. Someday you will be able to. Someday, if you work with yourself, you will be able to walk around this world and see, hear, touch, taste what you're experiencing. Not think about it. Not have to judge it. Not have to figure out where it fits into your frame of reference. What happens is your consciousness, I want you to play with that. Play with experiencing what you're seeing, stand out on the field and see what you're seeing. And then notice it won't take very long before your mind pulls your consciousness into your thoughts. In a sense, that's as high as meditation. for you to see how attached you are to the fact that the thoughts keep pulling you down to your thoughts and your emotions. Your emotions can do it in a blink of a second, can't it? And just notice that you can't stay there because your attachment to your thoughts, your emotions, your body has sensations. Have you noticed that? This is called playing with awareness. If I was in a retreat, but I don't do retreats, I would have you do this, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to tell you about it. You can do it on your own. Notice that you can feel your entire body at once. Feet, hands, arms, leg, neck, head. You don't have to touch it. You just feel it. Consciousness can be everywhere. Now drop a hammer on your toe. See what happens. All you feel is your toe. This is called the power of distraction. Things can distract your consciousness from its true state of equal awareness. They pull it down. That's what your mind is doing. And your heart, your emotions. You don't have to drop a hammer on your mind or your heart. It does it by itself. It starts complaining. It starts being unhappy. It starts judging. It starts doing all kinds of stuff, doesn't it? And you get right away distracted into what that's all about. So spiritual growth is about realizing, I got to learn not to do that. Before you go seek a teacher or a methodology, you have to know why you want one. You have to look at it and say, that's just amazing. My consciousness can be anywheres, but it keeps being pulled back to me. It keeps being pulled back to what I like and what I don't like and what I want and what's okay and what's not okay and all that kind of stuff, doesn't it? All right? And my emotions, oh my God, it just bam, it gets pulled down to that stuff. How can I know God? Well, how dare you talk about God if all you care about is you? I love to talk like this, which is deep Buddhist yoga, non-dualist stuff, and then use Christ. Why? Because he taught this. Christ's word for this is you must die to be reborn. You have to stop focusing on yourself, on your personal self, in order to be born into your expanded self. You're not born into it. You were always it. You're just not being distracted by the personal. Do you see that? It's really beautiful. Your consciousness can be aware of everything, but it focuses on your thoughts, your emotions, sensations from your body, and what is in front of you. Isn't that amazing? That's what it means to fall from the garden. That's what it means to be lost. If that's what that means, then liberation means that ceases to happen. Like you can do anything, listen to anything you want. When it's all said and done, it means that you have achieved a state inside your being that your mind cannot distract you and pull you down into it. Does that mean I don't use my mind? I didn't say that at all. I said it can't distract you. It's not telling you what to think about. It's not telling you where to go. It's not telling you what to do. It's not telling you who to like. It says all that, but you learn, and we'll talk about it, you learn to not be distracted by the noise of the personal mind. And if you are able to hear it talks, I don't know if I like that, what's going to happen? And you just let it go, just like let the trees go, just like let the white lines go. You don't do anything about it. You don't sit there and try to convince your mind, oh no, it's okay. You'll never win. Let mind fight with mind and see who wins. You have to get to the point where you can notice what I'm talking about. Yes, there's a mind talking in here. It never shuts up. It's always got an opinion and a thought and a concept and a view and a hope and a dream and a preference and a belief. It doesn't have all that stuff. Okay. How do you know it does? Because I'm in here watching it. Very good. Are you able to let it go? Are you able to let it come and go? Are you able to? And the answer is no. Can you learn to? The answer is yes. What will happen if I learn to? It won't bind you. You have to do anything else. Right now, it is tethering you. It's holding you. It's distracting your consciousness down to it so much that you think you are your mind. You don't even see it as something separate from you. It's completely separate from you. I told you last time, it's just like a light that shines on an object. It illumines the object, makes it beautiful, it's wonderful. Has nothing to do with the object, does it? It's the light hitting the object. Your consciousness has nothing to do with what it's looking at. Nothing. It's just being distracted to be pulled down to it, just like a light on an object. Your consciousness is aware of your thoughts. Your consciousness is not your thoughts. Your consciousness is not anymore your nice thoughts from your not nice thoughts, from your R-rated thoughts, your X-rated thoughts, your PG-related. There's just thoughts, right? They have nothing to do with you other than you're conscious of them. And so basically you understand what's going on. There is consciousness. I don't want to call it divine consciousness. There's only one consciousness. It's awareness of being. It's magic. It's the only thing in the universe that's aware that it's aware. Consciousness is awareness of being. It's a magic thing. It's the most important thing in the whole universe. If you took everything away, you would know there was nothing there. If you took you away, there was nobody. There's nothing. So you wake up and you realize the magic of consciousness. I can't even talk about it. It's the greatest thing in the whole universe. Mayor Baba did it this way. He said every single thing in the whole universe, all the hundreds and billions and zillions and quillions of things are zeros. They're just all zeros. Take the number 1, God, and put it to the left of the zeros. All of a sudden it's 100 billion, zillion, quillion. Take it away, it's nothing. That's what he said is consciousness. Consciousness gives meaning to everything. Nothing has meaning without consciousness. It doesn't exist. It doesn't matter if it exists or not. Nobody knows. So your consciousness is holy. Your consciousness is your connection to God. Your consciousness is God. Learn to appreciate consciousness. Learn to understand how divine and important consciousness is. It's the essence of your being. If you're seeking self, you're seeking consciousness. You're seeking God, you're seeking the source of your consciousness. Everything has a source. You're conscious of me right now, aren't you? All right? What's the source of consciousness? That's the closest you're going to come to let your mind think of God, the source. But it doesn't do any good to think of it. You have to stop thinking about it to return to the seat of consciousness. So basically, we're talking about real liberation, freeing yourself from yourself. Right now, your consciousness is divine. It's everything. But it has fallen down into your thoughts, your emotions, your body, and the things that you hold on to, that you relate to, my karma. It's really an I, me, mine. That's what Ramakrishna said. It's I, me, mine. That's the trap. So what do you mean it's my car? Did you make it? Did you watch it get made? Did you mine the ore that made the metal? Do you even know how it runs? What do you mean it's mine? Who is this mine? That's my favorite thing, right? You're looking for a car. You don't own one now. You go to the dealership, and there's people looking in the car. They're touching it. People take a test drive and so on. Then you decide, I'm going to buy it, right? You sign on a piece of paper. Get out of my car. Don't sit in my car. What? I don't understand. I was saying about it a minute ago. Yeah, but I hadn't signed the paper yet. Oh, my God. What is that? That's the attachment that happens when consciousness says, I am my mind, I am my heart, I am my body, and I am my car. That's my car. Isn't that beautiful? How did it become yours? That's really funny. I took some paper that got milled out of a tree, and now get your hands off my car. That's how absurd this whole thing is. Consciousness is consciousness. The fact that it gets drawn down, distracted from its universality, its experience of wholeness, it gets distracted by your thoughts, your emotions, your body, and your stuff. And there it is. And now you're lost down there. You get lost. Consciousness gets lost. It doesn't know itself as itself. It knows itself as the thoughts in its mind. It knows itself the emotions from its heart. It knows itself how its body's feeling and what it looks like and all that kind of stuff. You want to grow spiritually? You better deal with that. That's the level you deal with it. Yes, you'll go about your life. I told you that. Let's get this straight. We're going to have these teachings. You're still going to go through your stuff. Just because you hear it and you understand it and you get inspired doesn't mean you can walk out that door. Where are my shoes? Okay? Where did I put my car? I can't find my car. Oh my God, I have a flat tire. It's going to happen. Bye-bye. We had a talk. That's how strong and powerful the personal is. It pulls the consciousness down into it, and we have not learned to deal with life without that happening. Spirituality is the journey. You still go about your life. You're going to anyways. All right? It's going to happen. But deep inside, you put aside some time in the morning, in the evening, for what? The most important thing you'll ever do in your whole life, which is remember what we're talking about. Remember that, yes, this mind pulls me into it, and the heart pulls me into it. Let me put aside a little time where I practice not doing that. I don't care if it's whatever, morning and evening. You just put aside some time for what is the most important thing in your whole life. Freeing yourself from this absurdity. Liberating God. You're trying to liberate yourself. No, liberate God. Liberate God from having to look at you. right? It keeps getting pulled down into this, and it's not really nice, is it? I once asked you guys, which one of you will let me do this magic plug I have? I plug it in your ear, and from now on, all of your thoughts and all your emotions show up on the big Times screen jumbo there in New York in Times Square. Every one of them comes out there. Which one's volunteering? You put that stuff out there, you hide somewhere, you never change your name immediately. Somebody broadcasts that stuff. And yet, that's what your consciousness is looking at. It is. And your consciousness is God. Bhuktana Baba. Meditate on the self. Honor and worship your own being. For God dwells within you as you, the real you. I told you the other day, my favorite things, they told me about Yogananda. Someone had read about his books and this and that. They came up to me, Yogananda Master, I really want to know God. I want to see God. I want to know God. I'm sincere. I want to know God. And he just turned to the person and said, He dwells right behind your every thought. What dwells right behind your every thought? The consciousness that saw the thought, doesn't it? Otherwise, you don't even know the thought happened. How do you know you had that thought? You're conscious. That's what dwells behind every thought. They're all saying the same thing. Consciousness is the divine link. Consciousness is the self. Consciousness is the essence of your being, is the most important thing in your whole life and everybody's life. And when you return to the seat of consciousness, it will pull you back away from being addicted to watching yourself. And then the merger starts. And it doesn't matter if it happens immediately or it just does it gradually over time. You get pulled back into the oneness. And again, I am not the person that's telling you this. I quoted it in one of the books that in John, there's a part in John that says Christ is praying to God, may they know the oneness in thee as I have known the oneness in thee. As we are one together, may we all be one. And they use the word one about 10 times. What do you think he's telling you? It's not that I am one with God. We are all one with God. I think Christ's teachings that as I sit by the throne of my Father means that's a consciousness state. All right? As I sit by the throne of my Father, so you shall sit by my throne. And these things which I do, you do these and even greater things. What is he trying to tell you? He's sitting there telling you that you are one. Your consciousness is one with the divine. And it's capable of returning to that state. That's the true teachings. Yoga talks like that. It doesn't mess around with in-between stuff. You are one. That's who you are. But you've lost yourself by being pulled down into your personal thoughts, your personal emotions, and so on. So what's the answer? If that's the problem, then that's the solution. That's how you solve things. Scientists always look for what's making something be the cause and the result, and you follow it back to its cause. The cause is that your consciousness, you, the consciousness, is lost in your thoughts, your emotions, your body, and your possessions. That's the truth. There it is. So is the answer renunciation? I'll renounce my possessions. I'll renounce my feelings. No, of course not. All that's doing is it is caught in that, but you're pushing it away. You just develop a self-concept of renunciate. Not impressive. It's just another way to make a mess. A real mess, by the way. Right? If you haven't noticed, people that are trying to practice renunciations do some pretty weird things, don't they? And so that's not the answer. The answer is not to renounce the world because you can't handle the fact that your conscience gets pulled into it. It doesn't even make sense. So what is the answer? The answer is to work on yourself on a regular basis to notice that this is what's going on. You notice that you can't find your car in the parking lot, and you get all uptight. Hey, you've done it before. You always found it. There's no reason to be getting all uptight about this stupid thing. You start noticing how many things you get uptight about, how many things you worry about, how many things your mind tells you, this is not going to work out okay. Oh my God, I did this wrong. What's going to happen? And you just wake up and you realize this is a problem. I can't be okay with this going on in here. And then in deep thought, you understand, but I am this divine consciousness. Why am I getting pulled into this? You should be asking that. It's not for a teacher to tell you. You want to memorize it? Here's the 10 Commandments. I can read the Gita backwards and forward in Sanskrit. So what? What the heck did that do for anybody, including you? All it did was become part of your ego. I can do this. It has nothing to do with those things. It has to do with you waking up and wanting to be free. Free of what? Free of being distracted by this little thing in there. It's really little, right? I told you, compared to the universe, compared to the planet, compared to everything, it's just this tiny little thing. It's the talking head. And you just decide, I'm going to live my life. I have no choice. If I fall in love, I'm going to go. It's how it happens. I can look at it and so on, but it's very strong. And maybe someday you'll be able to bring the energy up and express it at a higher level, which doesn't mean you're not dealing with the person, doesn't mean you're not getting married, doesn't mean it, but it's not, you're not getting lost in a particular flow of energy that's pulling you down into it, which there's nothing wrong with. And I don't even want to say there's anything wrong because you have no choice. It's going to happen to you. Do you understand that? Until you get very, very evolved, and then what will happen is you'll see the tendency to be pulled down into a particular state of the heart, beautiful state, but a particular state of the heart, particular state of the mind, you'll get pulled down toward it. Eventually, but you shouldn't take as you're supposed to. Just eventually, if you work with yourself, you will feel the pull of the energy, and you'll be able to bring it up. And eventually, it won't go down anymore. It will go up. Doesn't mean you don't get married. Doesn't mean you don't fall in love. It doesn't mean any of that. It means you maintain this high state of pure consciousness, and you dance in the world. I'm in the world, but not of it. So it's not about renouncing. It's not about guilt. It's not about shame. It's not about comparing. It's not about anything like that. It's about sitting there realizing what's going on. What's going on is the divine consciousness is being pulled down into your personal thoughts, your personal emotions, and your personal body and world around you. That's what happens. That's called the fall from the garden. It really does happen, doesn't it? It happens on a regular basis. It falls. Just decide, sitting right here, I'm not going to do that anymore. Ha, ha, ha. Come back 5 minutes later and tell me if you want. Because you won't. That's how powerful that pull is. It's a habit that got developed inside. So what do? We accept that this is what I see. I see how strong it is, and I'm going to work on it. Just like I work on learning the piano, just like I work on learning tennis, just like I work on learning a science, or whatever you work on, you didn't know what to start with, and then you work on it and you get better at it. That's the same thing with working on your liberation. You work on it. You can go to retreats, but don't think for 1 minute you can do a 2-week retreat and become enlightened. Please don't do that. Even if you have an experience. Many of us have had high experiences, but they're called experiences we had. That's not good enough. It has to be your state of being, your permanent state of being. How does one do that? They work on it. Every single day, you have this opportunity to work on yourself. Every single day, things will happen, won't they? Everything to make the mind say something, make the heart feel something, good or bad, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It'll say something, and it'll pull you down into it, won't it? And the next thing you know, you're busy changing your job or doing this or getting divorced. But eventually, you start noticing, I am being pulled down into this. Yogananda taught a meditation technique, which is lineage, came all the way from his lineage, called Kriya Yoga. And he sat there and said, this is a lineage from Babaji through Hiramashai, through Yukteswar, down. I'm passing this on from all these great masters. And if you practice this, it's a scientific, how Master talked. It's a scientific technique to guarantee your liberation in this lifetime, if you practice these techniques. Okay, now why did I tell that story? Because somebody once walked up to Yogananda, some conference or something, and said, Yogananda, you said that Kriya Yoga will guarantee your liberation in this lifetime. Is there any other technique other than Kriya Yoga that will do the same thing? And he shocked his disciples by in public saying, yes, take your attention, consciousness, take your attention and put it at the point between your eyebrows and never take it off. You will reach a point in your growth, if you work on yourself, where you'll notice the energy of your being, your consciousness, first comes in and centers and goes down. And you'll start to feel this power at the point between your eyebrows. And because you built it there, you've concentrated there. And you'll notice that if you focus on it there, it won't go down. You'll feel it go down. It's like a rubber band. You feel it go down, you let go, it comes back up. And you realize what the Master's saying. He's tricking you. If you take your consciousness and put it at the point between the eyebrows and never take it off, of course you'll reach the highest state, because it didn't go down. You worked on centering it at that point. You can work on that. You're welcome to work on that, okay? You will reach a point where you don't have to work on it, that you will have done enough work that the energy goes there by itself all the time. Every minute, every second, while you're sleeping, the first thing when you wake up, all the time, showering, this, that, anything. The energy goes by itself to the point between your eyebrows. And if anything starts to pull you down, you just raise your awareness up and let it pull you back to that state. Now you're in good shape. You have a friend That's when the Shakti becomes a friend. She's helping you do your sadhana. But how do I get that? It's easy to say you're going to put your attention point from the eyebrows. Nobody can do that. It's busy being pulled all over the place. How do you do that? You practice. You have a thing called practices. In yoga we call it sadhana. Your spiritual practices. You do sadhana. I mean, I need to leave my house and my family. No, that has nothing to do with it. It has to do with during your everyday life, you're going to notice that your consciousness is being pulled down into your mind. It's being pulled down into your emotions. It's being pulled down to every little thing about your body, liking, not liking, everything. And by sure being stimulated by what's going on outside of you. And you'll notice this. You'll notice this. Sometimes you get pulled down so much you don't notice it. You think it's you. It's never you. You are the consciousness that's aware of this. Are you willing to work on yourself? Or are you so committed to getting what your heart wants and what your mind wants and so on that you're just going to bury yourself in it, get lost in that downward flow and think I can be okay by manipulating everything around me to be the way my mind and heart wants it to be? So you notice this and you don't judge. I more want to have to say this because people, they misunderstand the teachings. You don't judge that that's happening. You don't judge it's happening. It'd be like an alcoholic that's trying to go through AA and denying the fact that the yearning for an alcohol is pulling them down. AA doesn't tell you to do that. AA makes you stand up and say, my name is so-and-so and I'm an alcoholic. Well, your name is so-and-so and you are attached to your mind and your heart and your emotions way more than people are attached to alcohol. So that's the starting position. You're not judging. You're not ashamed. This is just what's going on right now. Okay, now that you see that that's going on, what do you want to do about it? And I told you have two choices. Because you're not okay. The mind's not okay. The heart's not okay. It has needs and desires and preferences and hopes and fears, doesn't it? Don't you tell me my mind and my heart are okay. They're okay as long as you're manipulating everything around you and getting what you want. During that period we're doing okay. But they have needs and desires and fears and anxieties and preferences, don't they? It has that. So you're devoting yourself to that. Well, that's not the path to God. It's fine. It's fine. I hope you do well. But someday you're going to wake up and realize it's not completely fulfilling. Well, it's not feeding your soul. Your consciousness is having to go down and match your heart and match your mind and match your body and match these things to be okay. Nothing wrong with it. But you wake up and you decide, I want to live deeper. Doesn't mean giving that up. It means living deeper. So that basically you start to work on yourself. What does it mean? It means little by little, you take your mornings, your evenings. In the morning you remember, the meaning of my life is to let go of the parts of me that are pulling me down into it that I'm not able to handle. At the end of the day, the meaning of my day was to let go of what is inside of me that's so powerful, that I'm so scared of or desirous of, that it's pulling me down into it. And basically, you just keep doing that every morning and every evening. It's not a tremendous commitment, for God's sakes. And it is for God's sake. And I'm going to clue you in. You're not going anywhere without doing that. Like every single religion teaches that type of sadhana. And all spirituality teaches that. There's some work you need to do inside yourself. Not that I'm trying to get the world to be the way I want and now I'm okay. Fine, I hope you are. It's wonderful. It's a good... The Master said, make hay while the sun shines. I'm glad the mind's not bothering you, your heart's not bothering you right now. That's a good time to step up your sadhana, because it's really hard when you're depressed to do it. And so basically, you put aside the time and you work with yourself. How? That's your business. Just like your relationships are personal. Your relationship with God is personal. How you work with yourself is personal. Okay? We give you clues. Affirmation, positive thinking, mantra. There's all kinds of things that you can work with. I go into that in great detail. A lot of people write that that's what they really like about the new book, is that it explains why positive thinking works, why affirmation works, and why mantra works. There doesn't be some weird mantra. You just train yourself to say something over and over again in your head, such as I can handle this, or Om Namah Shivaya, I don't care, whatever it is, so that you do it enough to where when it starts to pull down, I'm going to cry, when it starts to pull down, and it's going to start to pull down, you just decide to raise your consciousness to the mantra. And all of a sudden you're there saying this instead of going down there. And then you're going to find out that down there doesn't need you. It takes care of itself really well. Your heart beats itself, your lungs go in and out, every cell in your body divides, the rain keeps the things growing. You're not needed. How can all those things go on? You have 30 trillion cells in your body, all taking care of you and doing things in white blood cells and immune cells. You're not doing that. Yet that's more important than anything you do. It keeps you alive. And so how can you think that you have to be doing all of this? And so you basically allow the unfolding of life, and you hang on to the mantra, hang on to positive thinking. Don't ever go negative in your mind. Negativity is terrible. It draws you into it. I don't care if the worst thing's facing you. Just sit there and say, I can handle this. I can handle this. Even if nothing inside of you thinks you can handle it, I can handle this. You will be much better off than if you said, I can't handle this. So you use these techniques for raising yourself. When? Always. Always. You never settle down into thinking that the downward flow of the energy is what you want to be fed. And there's Christ again. Man does not live by bread alone. Bread just doesn't mean the food you put in your mouth. It means everything you're taking from this world. Things from outside. That's what bread alone means. Man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that leaveth the mouth of God. In other words, there's this flow of energy inside that can feed you, that's way higher than what you're getting from outside. Ram Dass once said, you reach a point where you understand there's nothing that can come in from outside that's higher than what I'm already experiencing inside. That's where I want you. Which again doesn't mean you don't dance with the world. You just don't, let's get it down once and for all. Yes, you dance with the world. You're here. That's what it is. But you're not dancing with the world in order to get something or in order to avoid something. It's not that your inner problems are determining how you're dancing with the world. You're dancing with the world because it's fun. You're dancing with the world because you're on a planet still in the middle of nowhere. I'll go to work. I'll put my money in the bank and invest it somewhere. You just dance. It's fun. It's a sport. In the Eastern tradition, they call this world God's Leela. Leela, some people interpret it as dance. I once said, somebody who translated straight out of Sanskrit, said it's more God's sport. It's a sport. You're playing a sport. Of course you do your best. You do your best for no reason. Why do you try to get the stupid ball in the putting hole? It's fun. It's challenging. It brings out the best in you. That's what this is, your daily life. But you just work on raising yourself. What does that mean? Not falling down into the mind. The mind has its own stupid stuff to say all the time. And in the new book, it goes into great details why the mind says what it says when it says it. You store all this stuff in here and it's trying to release. And so nothing your mind is saying by itself is of any meaning. I like this, I don't like this. Oh, I can't believe she said that. What is this stupid stuff sitting on a planet still in the middle of nowhere is being neurotic. You just raise yourself. Raise yourself. Do mantra, do affirmation, do meditation, whatever it takes. Just become a conscious being that is aware that if I'm pulled down into this personal mind, I'm not doing well. It's the wrong direction. I can use the abstract mind. You are willfully thinking about the planet. You're willfully thinking about the fact that your body takes care of itself reasonably. All right, all these trillions of cells. They're dividing, they're eating. You understand that? They're phenomenal, and they all work together. They coordinate to make an organ. Are you doing that? No. And so you just start being marveled by the amazing. You're welcome to think like that. It's not that you don't use your mind. You just don't use it for this personal garbage that distracts you and pulls you down. You will reach a point where any time you want, there's your mind thinking, you just lift your eye up to the third eye, it will stop talking. Your heart feels a little funny, the energy feels a little funny. You just wave your hand in front of your heart and ecstasy will pour out of your heart. That's yours. You have the right to reach that state. That's worth working for, isn't it? A little better than getting a raise or in just another relationship. You just work on the greatness of your being. And eventually you will start to realize, I am consciousness. That's what I am. I am consciousness. And the problem is when I'm conscious of, it keeps pulling me down into it. We'll learn to bring it up. You don't do that by fighting. You do that by letting go. You just let go. Let go. Here, he's complaining about this. Let go. He's complaining about the weather. Oh my God, it's raining. Did you bring your umbrella? It's like, what's the difference? So we'll get wet. I take showers every morning. I get wet. You too? And my clothes get washed. They get wet. So what's the big deal? You just stop complaining about everything and worried about everything. And the next thing you know, you feel joy. You feel happiness. And eventually you're going to find out that the source of all joy, all love, all happiness is consciousness. Consciousness has a nature. Its nature is Satchidananda, eternal conscious ecstasy. It really is. That is the nature of consciousness. God is in a state of ecstasy, a state of complete bliss. God created the universe out of a sense of creativity and bliss and expansion and beauty. There, the whole universe. And that's your state. You are of that. Your consciousness is an ecstatic thing, but it's being pulled down into the garbage. Do you understand? This is the meaning of your life. So put time into it. And it doesn't take time. Yes, in the morning and evening it takes some time, but the rest of the day, you just do it inside. You do all the other stuff inside. How much just stuff you do inside to waste your time worrying about things? What does it mean by that? Oh my God, what's going to happen? It doesn't even turn out to be anything. Do this instead. All right? This is how you liberate yourself. And you're capable of liberating yourself. This is how you understand you're a very great being. You're a great being. You're not some little thing begging and worrying and all this stupid stuff. You're a great being. And the greatness is attached to the divine being. It comes from the source of the divine being. You're capable of reaching these states. Work on yourself. Jai Gurudev.